Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a video that I should have done a long time ago. I'm going to be doing a first impressions of the Beauty Bay Book of Magic palette. I bought this on Black Friday in November. So it's been a long time since I got this, but I was tied up for a lot of January and I've just been really busy. Anyway, that you don't care. We're gonna do a first impression of this palette and I'm so excited. This is such a pretty palette. I feel really excited to use this. I've heard like not mixed things. I feel like I've heard people mostly say like it's good, it's fine. But I really love the color story of this and I'm just really excited to use it. So let's just swatch it as I normally do and do a look together. I'm really looking forward to this. Okay, so you're zoomed in a little. So first shade in the palette is the shade Vanish. This is a matte light beige color. I'm just gonna build it up because you probably aren't gonna be able to see that. It's like a touch deeper than my skin tone, but not a lot. Then there's the shade Stardust. This is a sparkly copper shade. All of the metallics in this palette look so sparkly. And then we have the shade Amulet, which is a warm toned camely brown. This is the shade that I'm actually wearing as freckles today. Then we have the shade Alchemy. This is a light metallic gold. Doesn't seem quite as sparkly as the first metallic. And then we have the shade Enchanted. This is a light lavender. It's a matte. Moving into the second row, we have the shade Manifest. This is a matte dark brown. Looks pretty neutral, to be honest. Then there's the shade Wish. This is a light matte teal. It's pretty light. Then we have the shade Crystal. This looks so pretty. This is like a sparkly, like almost like blue, brown, blue, green type of shade. Like a warm brown base with a green shift. It's really sparkly though. This looks super nice. I love shades like that. Then there's the shade Sorcery. This is a matte, pretty bright purple, cool toned purple. Then there's the shade Voodoo, which is a matte deeper purple. I do like that there seem to be quite a few dark matte shades in this palette, which I always appreciate. Then there's the shade Bewitched. This is like a bright matte teal. It definitely swatches lighter than it looks in the pan. Next is the shade Spell. This is a metallic sparkly teal. Then there's the shade Hex. This is a matte black. Swatch is pretty good. Then there's the shade Charmed. This is like a sparkly purple shade. And then we have the shade Elixir. This is a matte bright blue. That's super pretty. And then for the last row, I'm gonna do this on my other arm because I'm running out of space. So first in the last row we have the shade Moonlight. This looks like a metallic white. Yeah, like a silvery white. Then we have the shade Cursed. This is a dark matte blue. Then we have the shade Jinx. This looks like a dark sparkly like blackened blue. Yeah, it looks like it has a black base with like navy sparkle. Then we have the shade Trick. This is a darker matte blue, like a mid-toned blue, I guess. And then last shade in the palette is the shade Potion. And this is a metallic like royal blue. That's super pretty. Alright, and these are the swatches of the palette. I've really gone all the way around my arm here. And then that is the last row. Really pretty, really cool toned overall, mostly like very purple, blue, teal. I feel very efficient. Like I really feel like I have my head in the game today, which is not typical for me. And I'm going to do close-up swatches right now in different lighting, and then let's do a little look together, shall we? Whoa, my chicken hair is like strong today. It's very frizzy, so please excuse that. And also, if you can see a little curly curl, it's because I tried to live my best grade 7 dreams and curl my hair using a straightener. It did not work, and this part of my hair won't go back straight. Like it won't straighten, so I have curly underneath my hair. So just ignore that. Also, while we're up close and personal together, I did soap brows for the first time today. And I feel like my brows have never looked better, if I do say so myself. Because I just recently have felt like my brows have just looked horrifyingly bad. Like honestly, it hasn't been great. So I actually feel like for once in my entire life, my brows look good. So let's all celebrate that together. Unless they look really bad, then please tell me. All right, so I'm feeling like doing a blue smoky eye today. I haven't done very many blue looks on my channel, actually, I don't feel like, and I don't have that many blues all together in one palette in my collection. I don't have very many like blue palettes, so this is a good palette addition, I think, to my collection. The first shade I'm going to use is the shade Wish, and I'm going to put that in my crease as a transition shade. I'm so excited. And I've primed my eyes using my NARS Smudge Proof eyeshadow base, and I've set my lids as well. That's what I do anytime I ever do eyeshadow. I cannot work on a tacky base. I'm not that good at blending. Definitely this shade is very white based, which is not surprising. Like it appears that way when you swatch it, but it's quite light. Well, that took like 5 seconds to blend, I'm not gonna lie. I also love the shade names in this palette. Anytime you get like Book of Magic, witchy stuff, I'm like here for it, and I'll probably buy it. That shade blended out really well. And I'm liking the way that's looking right now. I don't know, I'm really feeling this Elixir shade, so I'm going to use this next in my crease. It's this bright matte blue. And I'm going to put this in my outer corner and my crease. The shadows seem pretty like powdery, but nothing that is more than like typical, I would say. That's pretty light. I actually probably could have used this as my transition shade. These shadows are blending super well. I'm super impressed. Now I'm just going to blend the edges of this out with a totally clean brush. Now to deepen everything up, I'm going to take the shade Cursed. It's this really dark blue. And I'm going to put that in my outer corner of my crease as well. I do feel as though the shades are like applying to my eyes lighter than they look in the pan. But I feel like you can probably blend them up, or build them up. They seem to be building pretty well. Okay, that builds up pretty well. So now I'm going to take the brush that I use the light blue shade on. That's the shade Elixir. I'm going to blend out this shade, this deeper blue, which is called Cursed. The names are so cute. Like, this is the exact aesthetic that really draws me in. And I'm just gonna try to build this blue shade up a little bit more, because you can see it right now in my eye. It's deepening, but it's not like super dark. Whereas if you look at it in the pan, it's like this really dark navy blue. I mean, I'm also layering it like on top of lighter blue shades. I realize that, but it still is showing up a little bit lighter and brighter. But they're building well. They're not like getting patchy or anything like that on top of each other, so that's good. All right, we're looking pretty blue. Now I'm gonna take the shade Potion. It's this dark navy, or like not really navy, like royal blue metallic shade. In the pan, it almost looks like it has a purple like shift to it. I'm gonna spray that, and I'm just gonna put this all over my lid. And this feels like a formula that potentially will be better suited when using your finger. And it feels quite like soft and creamy now that I'm like using it and dipping my brush into the pan. It's moving around almost like a putty, like a super shock or like creamy powder type of deal. It's really sparkly though, it's pretty. Now I'm gonna go in with a touch of Elixir, which was that light blue shade that I used initially. I'm gonna go around the inner part of my eyes. And then I'm going to take Cursed, that dark blue, and do the same thing. Go around the edges of where I took the metallic shade just to blend it a little bit and maintain the depth there. And then I'm going to deepen the outer corner with that, going in with more Cursed. So I had to stop filming for a second because my camera was overheating, so if I'm a little bit at a different place, that's why. Now, before I go in with any more shimmer, I'm going to take the first shade I used, the shade Wish, that like light teal shade. And I'm just going to blend over the very edges of my shadow. And I've really recently been liking to take my transition shades like really far up underneath my brow and like on the sides of my nose. I've just been liking it a lot. Okay, and now I'm gonna go into the shade Potion. Am I filming? Yes, I am. And I'm going to intensify this with my finger. Yeah, it's definitely very like creamy, and I think, like, let me just try to show you. And this also definitely has a purple like shift to it. But you can see if I put my finger in it, like maybe not, but it's very creamy. It feels very similar to a ColourPop Super Shock shadow in its prime. Not after 2 months when it's completely dried out, but yeah, it's really creamy, and it still gives payoff though. Sometimes creamy textures like this, you put your finger in, it's really opaque on your finger, and then you try to transfer it to your eyes and it's like nothing. Not this. This has payoff. And now I think I'm going to take the shade Moonlight. It's this silvery shade. This though feels less creamy than the Potion shade because I just put my finger in it. And I'm gonna just tap this on the center of my lid. just to add a little bit of dimension. This doesn't seem to be super opaque though. But I don't know if you can see, they're really sparkly. They're quite pretty. I feel like I've heard some people say that because they're really so creamy that they crease a little bit on them. So maybe in the description box or in a pinned comment I'll let you know if they crease. It's already like 5 o'clock p.m. because I'm filming this after I came home from work. So I'm not going to wear this for a super long time, and I typically don't have issues with creasing, but I'll definitely let you all know if anything major happens. So now for my lower lash line, I've just been feeling super monochromatic looks lately. I don't know why. I just want to have like a really intense blue look today, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm definitely going to do a 3 looks 1 palette video with this, so you'll see more shades from this palette in action for sure. But now I'm just taking the shade Elixir, putting this all along my lower lash line, and I'm going to blend it out as per usual. And then, I'm sure you probably guessed it, I'm going to take the shade Wish, and I'm going to just use that to blow my lower lash line out. And then just because, I'm going to take the shade Charmed, this purple shade, and I'm going to give that a little spritz, and I'm going to put that on my lower lash line. Just because, I mean, while we're here, might as well use 1 extra shade. And then I'm going to take that a little bit on my pinky and intensify it. I think fingers are the way to really get the most out of this formula. And then I'm going to take the shade Moonlight, which was the like silvery shade that I used in the middle of my lids. I'm going to wet that, and I'm going to put that on my inner corner. And then I'm going to take the smallest amount of that Moonlight shade and put that on my brow bone, but like the smallest amount. I wouldn't normally do this, but there's really not any other shade in the palette that I think will work, because I think the shade Vanish, which you probably can't see, is just going to be a little bit too dark for me. Okay, so that's pretty much all. I'm going to throw some liner on, put some lashes on, and something on my lips, and then I'll be back to conclude and give my initial thoughts on this palette. Alright, and this is the finished look. I really love how it looks. I haven't done like a full blue eye in a while, so I'm into it. Let's see, I put a black in my outer corner. I used the shade, I believe it's called Hex, yeah, from the palette. It's just this black. I normally don't film that because it seems kind of pointless to like turn the camera on and just show that I'm putting like a black in my outer corner, but I pretty much always do that with like any look that I ever do. So just bear that in mind, I suppose. I put a plum in my waterline, and then I put a black over top because I didn't like the way it looked. So I have a full-on mustache, so please excuse that as well. Although I feel like I'm allowed to grow facial hair and not apologize for it. On my lips, I just have my trusty L'Oreal lip liner in Matte and Call, and then I have my MAC lipstick in Yash on. Overall, I had a really great time using this palette so far. I think the shadows blend out super easily. They build up well. Like I said, I noticed that they show up brighter on the eyes than they do in the pan. Like this Cursed shade, this dark blue, it's not going to show up like deep dark blue unless you really spend time building it up. But that's okay. Because of that, I feel like these are more like beginner friendly eyeshadows, not in the sense that they're worse or anything like that, but just because they start off a little bit sheerer and then you can build them up to full opacity, but they blend well still. I think that if you want to like dabble in colorful eyeshadow, because these are quite bright, but you don't want to spend a ton of money first of all, and you want a formula that's going to be pretty easy to blend, it's going to be a little bit more forgiving, I think that this would serve you quite well, as opposed to something like Kaleidos, for example, or even like Colored Rain. Kaleidos is like pretty easy to blend, but they can be a little bit finicky. Colored Rain, again, like, is a little bit more of a finicky formula, where if you weren't really experienced with using eyeshadow, or you like aren't familiar with using colorful eyeshadow, it can be a little bit like tricky. This I feel like is pretty foolproof formula. The metallics that I used, bear in mind I only used like 2 or 3, really 2 that are like full potential. They're pretty, they're really sparkly, very creamy, like very emollient, almost putty like, and I feel like they're best applied with a finger, but bear that in mind, I only used 3. I used the shade Potion, I used the shade Moonlight, I used the shade Charmed, although I only use that a little bit on my lower lash line, and then the mattes, I used the shade Wish, Elixir, Curse, and then Hex on my outer corners. I think this is great, especially considering I only paid $20 for it. I'm very happy about that. I will say I was really fucking heated when I first got this palette, because Beauty Bay as a website, I had never bought anything from them before. I bought this and the Sunlight Horizons palette or something like that, Sunset Horizons, which I will do a video on as well. So they were both on sale for $20 each, so 40 in total. It was like 40 even Canadian or something. Beauty Bay, the website, uses like a courier service as far as I understand. So normally, depending on like how much your shipment or parcel or whatever coming into Canada from another country costs, you may have to pay duties on it, which is like pretty standard. And I do order makeup from a lot of indie brands that are coming from different countries, and this is not like a new thing to me. Typically, I actually am pretty lucky where my duties are included, or I don't have to pay duties when my items arrive. This order, because they use like a courier service, essentially instead of paying the post office duties directly, they like quote unquote calculate the duties for the company, so for Beauty Bay, and then they hold your package until you pay them duties. The thing is, that company uses, like, because they offer this service, they then charge you like a service fee, essentially, because they're offering the service to the company. I guess the point of them is that Beauty Bay doesn't have to deal with duties for all the different companies that they, or countries that they send product to themselves. They use this service for, like, to do that for them. If you Google this courier company, I actually can't remember what the name of it is because it was a while ago when I ordered this. Every single, like, online review is like, this company is a scam. And they, I think, like, really fucking upcharge you. You can, because I paid $15 in duties on my $40 purchase. That is a lot, and I don't believe that that's the actual duty amount that I would have to pay. Like, I have a suspicion. I think the actual amount that they calculated for me to pay for duties was like $3 or something, and they charged me like a $12 service fee. So I was heated. I was fucking riled up when I got that email, and I was so mad. I did end up paying it because I was like, I just don't want to go, like, because you can claim it yourself and like do all the paperwork and stuff and like actually go to customs or whatever, like postal office yourself, which is not the same as the post office, and then like deal with them yourself. Like, you can't like self-claim your purchase. It didn't seem worth it at the time for me to do that myself. If it was like a lot more money than $15, I probably would have. So keep that in mind. That really wasn't, I'm not like so mad about it anymore. It's like kind of the way she goes, honestly, but keep that in mind. If you're not, I guess, in the UK, I believe, because like I think Beauty Bay is based out of the UK, so I feel like you wouldn't have that issue if you lived in the UK. But if you live in North America or in a country that's not in the UK, be warned, you may deal with this stupid fucking courier company that is trying to rob you of all your money. That being said, despite that, I do like this formula a lot so far, and this palette is really inspiring to me. I'm so excited to play with it more. I can't wait to film a 3 looks 1 palette video on this. I have so many ideas. I'm so excited, and thank you for watching this video. I don't think I had anything else to say. I ranted about my duty charges, and I'm not saying that like I shouldn't have had to pay duties at all, because like I'm used to having to pay duties on stuff. It's not like a problem for me to do that. It's just this service fee that they're charging you is a lot. So buyer beware. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this video was a little bit more succinct than my other videos that I've posted recently, because they've been fucking long. So if anyone actually watched them in their entirety, I'll buy you a beer. I owe you a beer, because that is a long time. Okay, anyway, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if there's anything else you want to see from me, and I will see you next time.